Supernatural Season 12, Episode 22, Who We Are. Definitely a good episode. It was the first part of our 2-hour event. I decided to keep these episodes separate, like this one and the finale, because, you know, Wayward Son didn't start in this, so I don't count it as like a 2-hour finale sort of situation. They even have the actual credits for the end of this episode, and then they just come right back to the next episode playing Carry On. So I was like, okay, well, clearly they were meant to be 2 separate episodes. Just once Riverdale ended, it was like, all right, well, boom, last 2 together. So that was definitely great. This was a really cool first part to, the full night event. And things kind of played out like I expected. We have our first part, which deals with the Men in Letters and their, basically just banishment from the States. And then the second part was, all the Lucifer stuff with the official finale, which makes a ton of sense because, Lucifer's like way up here and the Men in Letters, they're tough, but they're still in like down here. Plus you add Lucifer and the Nephilim together, that's leagues beyond, the British Men in Letters. So it's like, of course, the episode before the official finale is going to take them out, and that leaves them free to just do all the crazy stuff they have to deal with for Lucifer. But definitely a great first part. We get to see Jody Mills, so that was definitely awesome. She doesn't die, which is really great, because I was worried about that, which turns out that was a minute thing for the night. But yeah, I was worried about that, but we get to see her. We get to see a few other hunters. Not as many as I would have expected, considering like the whole they're trying to wipe us out sort of deal was still only like I think seven people total. So it's kind of funny that they already have like such a short amount of people that they could actually kind of rally. But it was definitely awesome. Like, I love the way it starts. Of course, Sam, Dean, and Bevell are still trapped, so they all end up having to work together. Dean finally gets to use that freaking grenade launcher, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, I guess he took it out of the car and or maybe he just had a second one, but that was funny because I'm like, with what I saw from the promo, I was like, all right, I feel like there's, a certain part where they end up in a different place. Maybe this is where things happen. I honestly thought maybe they die and end up going to like purgatory or something crazy. I was like, that would be an insane start to, this 2-night event or a 2-hour event. But that doesn't end up happening. We do, of course, find out that Dean did end up going through the hole before kind of the rubble collapsed on it. So everything's good. They end up escaping. And that's when, of course, they get the call to Garth. So we get a reference to him. He's still alive, which is good. They get in touch with Jody. Fortunately, she's fine as well. So they're able to kind of divide and conquer. And they do a really great thing that I love, because we don't see them do this too often. But when things get super, super serious, Sam and Dean have their emotional moment. And then, of course, it's the bitch jerk thing. And they did that in the season finale, where Dean was the one, of course, going off to make the great sacrifice. And in this, we got to see it because it was Sam, because Dean was already injured. So he kind of had the lighter side. It still got pretty, intense by the end. But ultimately, it was like he has Bevell, and it's like, well, I'm gonna try to get through to Mom and try to, wake her up. So they do that, and I was like, that's really cool to see that 2 seasons in a row. And Sam kind of leads the other hunters to the Men in Letters. They pretty much wiped them out. It's kind of a half and half thing, because of course with all these random hunters that we've never seen, minus the 2 guys who we haven't seen, and I don't even remember what episode of season that even was. That had to have been a super long time ago. But outside of those 2 guys, everyone else was kind of random. Like those 2, and then of course Jody. So, as I expected, a lot of people just got picked off as they were going through, but it was a cool action sequence. Hunters were getting taken down, but of course they were taking down the Men in Letters. They weren't picking up any of their assault rifles, which was really funny to me, because it was like that TV thing. They do that in all TV shows, where it's like no one ever seems to just pick up the enemy guns and they just stick with handguns. Like it's a video game or something. Like they're just playing on easy. Like, I can just use my handgun. So that's what they decided to do. And of course, the main characters end up surviving to the end. They end up getting to Hess, and she wants them, the British Men in Letters, to open up a portal and try to get her out. It's like, we don't have the resources. So, of course she gets cornered, and she tries to give her little spiel like, hey, if you kill me, you guys are screwed, because check this out, Lucifer's returned. They were watching him. They got some pictures of him. They look like in that one picture where it's like a front-facing picture, it literally looked like he was just walking out of a haunted mansion. It was so funny to me, because maybe it's because I play games a lot. It made me think of Resident Evil, and I was like, I don't know why, but this like he's just walking right out of a haunted mansion. But she tries to save herself. Ultimately, it doesn't end up working. She does a little spiel. The guy who was on the computer decides to chime in like, you should listen to her. And of course, Sam decides to pass on that because they suck and they tried to kill everybody. So he shoots the computer. Hess tries to kill him, and Jody gets off a headshot, and she's dead. like one of many headshots. This episode and the last episode combined, I think, have like almost 6 headshots or something like that total, if not like, you know, even closer to 10. But it was definitely good. It was great to see Jody show up and also survive, so I was happy about that. We get to see a really great moment with Dean, and that's what I love. It made this being like a 2-night event or a 2-hour event even better, because this first episode, even though it certainly had its action moments, it had a really great emotional moment with Dean trying to wake up Mary when she's kind of living in the past. So he sees baby Sam, he sees the young version of himself, and he sees Mary who's just making him a sandwich and trying to live, you know, a happier life before things went crazy. And so he has to say kind of some of the worst things to kind of break her out of it. So I really love that. Of course, it's always an emotional moment when they have to deal with everything they've dealt with. So definitely a great freaking moment that led to an even crazier moment when he finally breaks through, and then he's kind of pulled out of it, and he turns basically to his left, and we find out that Bevell has had her throat slit, so she ends up dying. And I figured that was going to happen. As soon as Ketch asked the woman to like look up where Mary was, I was like, he's going to go there. And of course, Bevell can't defend herself because, you know, she's handcuffed still. So I was like, she's probably going to die. I thought we'd at least see it. And it was just like, boom, he snapped out of it, and then she's just dead on the ground. I was like, wow, I didn't think if she would die, I certainly didn't expect it to be that way where it was kind of just off screen, which isn't the first time that happens, or it is the first time that happens, but not the last. But it was just interesting. I was like, wow, you know, like she's gone, and then Dean is kind of back to having the crappy legs, so he has to try to fight, and they go, you know, back and forth, and then ultimately Mary is able to help him out, and they get rid of Ketch, and it was great. So love seeing that. And then Sam shows up at the end. Everything's good for the most part, at least. You know, they had like that minor victory there. They wipe out the British men of letters, and then it's like, all right, on to the season finale, where now we have to unfortunately deal with Lucifer and a Nephilim and finding Cass and doing all this other stuff. So definitely a great start, you know, great episode leading into the official finale. But of course, we would love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts about it. Obviously, if you're watching this, you've already seen the season finale, or at least it's likely that you've seen it, so I won't bother asking what you guys want to see, because that's the normal question. But we'd love to know how you guys felt about them wiping out or at least, I was going to say the British men of letters, but they wiped out like a couple of people in the grand scheme of things. So I would love to know if you guys think the men of letters will come back in the future. Maybe they'll do sort of like what they did with the Frankenstein characters, where it was like, that could be a really huge thing. And it was for like 2 episodes, and it was kind of like, you know, just especially with like Crazy Dean. And it kind of was, but it wasn't like they were the overarching villains. So I feel like maybe we'll get to see that with the British men of letters potentially coming back for like a couple episodes here and there. And that technically that could last throughout the entire series. I doubt it would, and considering how the finale went, I don't think the men of letters will even bother, just because of everything that might be happening there. But we'd love to know your theories on whether or not we'll end up seeing the men of letters ever make a return to attack Sam and Dean and just try to wipe out all the American hunches again. And of course, I just want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.